Alright, this is John Cole with okraw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and I'm coming at you from my beautiful backyard garden. And this is a very important episode to me because it involves one of my favorite foods in the whole wide world. It's the coconut, right? And there's some videos lately online that say, coconuts aren't vegan, and you shouldn't eat any coconuts unless it's from these certain companies. And in this episode, I'm going to share my opinions on some of the videos, even viral videos, and some of the hype that's going around on the internet, and share my opinions based on traveling around and being into a plant-based raw foods diet for 21 years now, and also being more of a critical thinker than a follow the leader type person. Okay, so first thing I want to say is both these coconuts are vegan. No monkeys were harmed or used to harvest these. This is a Hamona coconut. Be sure to check the link down below for my upcoming episode on the Hamona coconut. It is harvested by human hands in Vietnam. And over on this side, we have a Mexican coconut, which they do not use monkeys to harvest their coconuts either. And later, I'll show you guys a Thai coconut that's really not harvested by monkeys. So anyways, my main thing when I saw the video and I heard this, I'm like, number one, I felt bad, right? I felt bad for the monkeys. I do not believe that any animal should be harmed to create any kind of food, and what they're doing is wrong. There's many other new technologies now that people could harvest their own coconuts. They have climbing straps. I have one myself. They have these little things like hunting stands you could put on the tree and climb it really easily if you're a person. They have these coconut robots that actually, it's a robot that you control with the joystick, and it climbs up the tree and it'll cut down the coconuts for you. And so why use monkeys in this day and age of technology, right? I think it's mainly because people are lazy, right? People are lazy. They want to make money, sell the coconuts, and, use animals. And they may not necessarily see it being wrong or bad because they're not vegan and they still eat animals, right? But I want to try to be as compassionate to the animals as I can. But here's yet another point, that I want to consider. Right when I got into being a plant-based raw food vegan many years ago, one of the big vegan communities that I visited at the time, said that a seaweed that I ate a lot at that time and still eat today, maybe not as much as I used to in the olden days, was not vegan. I'm like, wait, how is a seaweed not vegan? It comes from the sea. It's like an algae product. It's no animal. It doesn't have a brain. All this kind of stuff. And basically what this community said was that, when you eat the whole leaf dulse, and you're not careful, you're going to crunch into it and you're going to get something crunchy in there. And if you guys eat whole leaf dulse, you guys have probably done that. And that's a snail shell. So their thinking was, snails are losing their lives so that you could eat your dulse. And so then they put dulse on the not vegan list now. And I'm like, well, screw that. I like dulse. I'm going to eat it. And okay, some snails have to lose their life and that sucks. And maybe that's not the most vegan thing. But like, if I start doing this, what about all the other products that have animals, that have an impact on the animals? So palm oil is another big thing. Many people say palm oil is not vegan because they have to destroy, massive rainforests and habitat destruction for all these creatures to grow palm oil, right? And I personally believe palm oil, it's a plant-based food. It's vegan, right? And that's cool. Not that I agree with the nature destruction or rainforest destruction, right? But I keep thinking about all these things, and really it comes down to one thought, right? It comes down to a thought that when industry gets involved, and when profits get involved, and when corporations get involved, even people that want to make money get involved, they don't give a shit about, vegan rights or animal rights or snails' rights or anybody's rights. They're there to make a buck, right? So when business gets involved and money gets involved and people want to make money, they don't care about nature, the environment, animals, bugs, insects, snails, whatever. And here's a good example, right? If you guys are a vegan and you guys eat almonds, right? Those almonds are likely, and probably, if they're grown on a big industrial commercialized farm, using enslaved bees to pollinate your almonds. Now, are almonds now not vegan? And let me say this. There's about 30% of other plant-based crops that use enslaved bees that are trucked around on 18-wheelers from, say, Florida to California in the springtime, maybe about now, or maybe a couple weeks ago, to pollinate the crops, right? Because of this monoculture agriculture system that we're involved with, because there's not forage crops that'll feed the bees year-round. And 30% of other plant-based foods, including many of your fruits and vegetables that you guys love, are pollinated by the honeybees. And they're using enslaved bees. So what's the difference? Enslaved monkeys, enslaved bees. Now are you gonna stop eating 30% of the foods you guys eat, and now you'll be left with the 70% until you learn that, you know, when they harvest your lettuce, they're using pesticides. Yes, even if it's organic lettuce, they're using certified organic pesticides, but it's killing insects, it's killing aphids on your lettuce, right? I mean, we could keep going. If they're using chemical fertilizers, conventional fertilizers, and you're buying non-organic produce, it's harming the soil microbiome. You know, I have soil here, and chemical fertilizers kill the soil microbes. It's destroying the soil, it's destroying the planet. Is that vegan? I mean, I could keep going with a lot of different examples. I mean, you're killing the earthworms. You know, they're killing earthworms and they're using non-organic fertilizers. So, okay, so you're saying, okay, John, well, I'm organic, so okay, they're not somewhere in the soil microbiome, the earthworms by growing organically. But, you know, now they got these big diesel trucks and tractors that are going through the farms and, you know, releasing, you know, carbon emissions, and that farm had to displace whatever was there previously, you know, the wetlands, the wildlands, you know, the fertile forest, the rainforest. They're destroying that. So, you know, just being alive, there is impact in the world, right? And what are you guys doing about this? Oh, making a video about how coconuts aren't vegan, so you're not going to eat coconuts for the monkeys. Well, what about all the other creatures on the planet? I want you guys to be concerned about not just the monkeys, not just the snails, not just the soil microbiome, you know, not just the aphids on my plants, you know, eating them, but I want you to be concerned about everything. I mean, here's another example, right? And this is messed up. So I was in California, went to a farmer's market, and I bought some organic strawberries. I'm like, okay, cool, because I'm not buying conventional strawberries because they're sprayed with some pretty nasty pesticides that I don't recommend you guys eat, although even conventional strawberries are better than eating Chips Ahoy or some vegan cookies, highly processed packaged foods, in my opinion and based on my research. So anyways, I bought some organic strawberries from the farmer at the farm who just picked them the day before, and I asked him, how are your organic strawberries grown? And he says, I said, and what do you use as the fertilizers? So he says, we use mule blood. I'm like, what? He's like, we use mule blood. He's like, you know, between a horse and a donkey? I'm like, yeah, no, I know what a mule is. And I'm like, okay, so wait a minute. Do you spray the mule blood on the strawberries when, like, the strawberries are out? He's like, no, we do it in the off season before they make the strawberries. I'm like, okay. And he's like, but during the strawberry production, that's when we use the fish emulsion, and which is basically ground up fish, byproduct of the fishing industry. So now it's like, okay, so do I want to buy these strawberries that are used with all these animal inputs that are certified organic, picked the day before? I mean, my personal choice is that I purchase them, you know, and I know how they were raised, but I still purchase them because I got to eat something. Right? I could buy conventional strawberries that probably, you know, didn't use mule blood, that probably hurt the microbiome, that probably has pesticides on it that's not good for me. So life is about choices. We want to try to do the best we can, you know. I mean, I grow my own strawberries. I have a small strawberry patch. I don't use mule blood. I don't use all those crazy things, all those, you know, things they would use even in organic agriculture, because I know where my food comes from, right? I mean, this is why I garden. I know what was sprayed on my plants. You know, I know that I'm not using blood meal and porcine, which is pig bone meal, or cow bone meal in my soil, because those things are dirty to me, right? And if you guys are just being a consumer in this society, you guys are contributing to the harm of other animals, and animals include things like bugs and insects. And to me, they also include things like the soil microbiome. These are living creatures on the planet. They may not feel like we do, but they have an important role to play. And if they are, you know, wiped out because of commerce, right, our earth is going to be screwed, right? It's estimated that we have 60 years of good soil left before we won't be able to grow crops. I mean, people say there's like 15 years of fish left in the oceans, but we have 60 years of soil left if we don't do something to raise the level of the organic matter in the soil and the nutrition in the soil and bring back the life in the soil. We're gonna be totally screwed anyways. So what the heck does, not vegan coconuts matter? What the steps that need to happen, in my opinion, is that you guys need to take some responsibility for the food you grow. That's simply it. As much as you put down your money to buy food, you don't know how it's produced, you don't know where it was produced, you don't know what the farmer used to produce it, you don't know what kind of agriculture or environmental impact it had on the place the farm was, what it was previously. Was it a rainforest? Was it a grassland, wetland? How many animals were displaced? I mean, I don't kill rabbits. In some farms they have rabbits and rats and all these to the farmer it's pests. And they poison them, they kill them, even if it's organic, right? Because they don't want the farmers there to make the profit. They don't want the rabbit to munch on its organic greens. I mean, I got a fence up along for mine, so my little dog doesn't get there and poop and pee in it, right? That's not going to keep out any rabbits or any other pests, but luckily I don't have any pests in here, in my area where I live. So, yeah, I mean, the whole solution is get out of the consumerism society, become a producer yourself, right? As much as I want to go to Thailand and go around to every coconut farm and see how they're made, maybe if somebody paid my trip for me and my girlfriend, put me up in hotels, I'd do it. But why should we have to do that? We should be more conscious about, the items we buy, talk to the people that make it, ask them how it was, harvested, how it was made. But we don't have this level of transparency in our current system. This is what's really sad, and that's why I like, these guys. This is the Hamona Coconut Company, and if you see this QR code, you could scan that barcode with your cell phone, and it takes you to the webpage of the farm that grew this coconut. And hopefully they'll actually even put up the growing practices on how they harvest and what they use. It's all harvested by hand, and basically for fertilizer, they basically dig up the river muck, and they put that on the trees to fertilize it. So, I mean, these are probably the best coconuts you could buy, not harvested by monkeys, and fully traceable. I wish every produce item you guys bought, and even every item you bought in the store, and hopefully you're eating whole plant foods, has a QR code so you can see how it's made. What we really need is transparency. Like, I'm all for GMO labeling so people could buy GMOs if they want, right? But let people know what's going on. And just likewise, the food system's messed up. They're covering things up with smoke and mirrors, whether that's using monkeys to harvest coconuts, which in my opinion is a small percentage of the coconuts that are out there and the coconut products. It's not like 99% like some people claim. It just doesn't make sense, doesn't add up. You'd have to have so many monkeys, right? And the other thing I want to talk about when we're talking about coconuts are these coconuts. This is a young Thai coconut. I know you're thinking, John, you're a monkey enslaver because you bought a Thai coconut, man. Well, no. This is a special coconut, and look at the brand there. It's by Best Coconut, right? And I'll put a link, or I'll put part of the video up of the Best Coconut Company that made a video showing how they harvest their coconuts. And for those of you guys that don't know as much about coconuts as I do, I've traveled around extensively to tropical places, eaten tons of coconuts. I haven't seen any monkeys harvest my coconuts yet. I've seen humans climb trees and harvest coconuts, and that's what I think they should do. People should get more exercise, man. Climb your own trees if you want your coconuts. But these Thai coconuts, these are grown on special trees. If you get a coconut that tastes sweet, more than likely, it's grown on a dwarf Thai coconut tree. What does that mean, dwarf? You ever see, like, Lord of the Rings? Those dwarfs, those are those half-size people. The elves are taller, but those dwarfs are like half your size. They stay small. These trees stay small. So, people could easily go and harvest them. And yes, okay, when they get a little bit taller, they get taller, but they're not like 40 feet tall like some of those Fijian or Samoan or other kinds of coconuts. So that's why humans are using to harvest this, and humans are more efficient than harvesting monkeys, especially when they're short trees. You could just stand on the ground, take a machete, and hack them off, right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, if you want to get young coconuts, get the Best Coconut brand. I'm not going to say these are the highest quality, because sometimes I get some bad ones in there. I like the SSK brand, and I haven't really researched them. But nowadays, instead of buying the Thai coconuts now, I get the Mexican coconuts. 100% hand labor here. They got the brown coconuts, they got the kind of white coconuts, and then they got the, Mexican husk coconuts that can be rare and hard to find. But yeah, I mean, as much as I'm involved in still buying some of my food, my goal is to grow 99% of my food and have very little come from the outside world, right? And I have friends that do this already. I'll put a link down below to one of my friends who's a raw foodist who has 10 acres and he grows all or 99% of his own food, and that's my goal too, because now he knows that he's not harming anything. And that's the ultimate vegan, in my opinion, right? He's harming as little as possible, right? Because he knows what he sprays on his food. He knows what he does. I mean, when I harvest this lettuce, right, I gotta go inside and I gotta wash off the aphids, unless I wanna eat them. Now, if I eat them, then I'm definitely not vegan. But if I wash them down the sink, am I still vegan? I'm hurting some little bugs, some insects. Well, another point of this video is that, you know, just us living and being on the planet, we will affect other creatures. And I want you guys as vegans or people that are concerned about this topic to do the minimal amount of damage as possible. And to do the minimal amount of damage as possible, pretty much you need to take growing your own food into your own hands so that you know what's going in the soil, you know how you're treating the bugs on your plants. I mean, if I was really into it, I'd harvest my leaves and I'd blow the aphids off. And then they could go somewhere else and infect some other plants, right? Then I have friends that are vegan and, you know, they pick off the slugs off their stuff and put them over on the other side of the fence on the neighbor's side. And that's cool, but do what you want to do, right? I just try to leave the lightest footprint I can and do the minimal amount of harm, but I still need to eat and I still need to live in our society. So, you know, my final thoughts are, let's not get too crazy about, you know, this plant-based product being vegan or not, but let's be concerned more about, you know, becoming your own producer instead of a consumer. Start growing your own food so you know how it's produced. You know how hard or how easy it is to grow certain crops. You know what goes into it, and you put less money into that commercialized system that is raping and pillaging bees, monkeys, cows, chickens. You know, all the creatures in the world are they're being messed up because of industry, because of profits, and especially because of big, large, mass corporations that don't give a shit about the environment, your health, you know, the animals, the earth, the environment, anything except their bottom line. So we need to get out of this system, and that's the most important message. If you're interested in learning how to grow your own food, I have over 1,100, almost 1,200 videos now teaching you guys how to do that so you guys could get to the next level, the next step, right? And you can check me out at growingyourgreens.com. I want to encourage you, all you guys watching this, to start growing your own food, even if it's just sprouts and microgreens. If you don't have a nice backyard like I do to grow your own food, you can grow at least your greens, sprouts and microgreens inside, and, you know, without any pesticides, without harming any other creatures on the planet. So the final comments I'd like to add to this video that I hadn't thought of a little bit earlier is that I want the vegan or plant-based community to be inclusive instead of exclusive. And in my opinion, you know, starting to exclude certain items from being vegan and then pointing fingers at people, you're not vegan because you eat coconuts. You know, I don't think that's a way to kind of try to like include more people into eating more plants. It's almost like alienating people that don't want to be part of the group now because now they're eating coconuts and they're not vegan, and so I'm just going to eat meat. And that, in my opinion, is a much bigger problem in the world today, is all the animals that are being needlessly slaughtered each and every day. You know, the mamas being robbed of milk and artificial insemination, and the chickens and their eggs being stolen. And that's a much bigger challenge today, and I would hope that the vegan community would, you know, focus more on these issues than if coconuts are vegan. And I'm not going to say that coconuts and the enslaved monkeys are not an issue. I just don't believe that this is as big of an issue as some people say. Like, in my opinion, and based on my research, 99% of the coconuts that are from Thailand are not being harvested, you know, by monkeys like some videos would lead you to believe. You know, I'm sure there's some, for sure, but I would say the majority of them are not being harvested by monkeys. It's just improbable with the amount of coconut products that are coming out of Thailand. Now, not that I agree with enslaved monkeys harvesting coconuts, but, you know, the animal agriculture industry is a worse thing, and that's what vegans and people into this should really be focusing on, and not getting into these little small minutia details of this or that food is vegan. I think what this can do is this can alienate people from being vegan, because then they have to have this list and they have to keep track of what the new vegan food is that's no longer vegan anymore. And I think this is totally just getting people away from the message. So another thing I'd like to say about this topic is about, you know, being plant-based or vegan, is everybody has their level. Like, you guys have a level of health, and your level of health depends on, what you're doing in your life. Not only the diet, but also sleep and exercise and mental and, living a stress-free life. But everybody has their, if you want to call it, a vegan level, and everybody's at a different place. Like, for example, my dad, he eats 80% vegan, and he's at a different place than I am doing this 21 years growing my own garden. And I know a lot of you guys don't have the opportunity to grow a garden. You don't have the land to do that. And you're at a different place than I am. But what I want you guys to realize is that every vegan is at a different place, and I think we should celebrate as long as they're just vegan and not eating the animals, right? And if you want to include some coconuts, hey, that's what you guys are going to do, because you're at a different place than the next person. My parents are at a different level than I am. My girlfriend's at a different place than I am. We're all on our journey. Be more aware of all these different things and not just be pointing fingers at people, because that doesn't really help the whole situation. I think that's the total end message of this. If you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please give me a thumbs up. Also be sure to share this with others that you think need to hear this message. Also be sure to click the subscribe button right down below to be notified by new and upcoming episodes that have coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know what you will learn on my YouTube channel. And also be sure to check my past episodes. I have over 400 episodes showing with you guys how to successfully live a plant-based, fruit and vegetable centric diet, how to save money, and interviews with many different people on how to really dial in your diet to get the best results. So once again, my name is John Kohler with okraw.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best. All right, this is John Kohler with okraw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and we have a very special interview for you guys today. We got my friend Dr. Rick Dina, who's been on a raw vegan diet now for 29 years.